You're listening to BSRN, Box Studios Radio Network. And now it's time for another Power Play Post Show interview exclusive.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Show. We are very glad to have this guest with us. He comes to us from the Worcester Sharks. He is a veteran D-man who is definitely been around the country playing defenseman. He last year was with the San Jose Sharks for a little bit. Now he's with the Worcester Sharks. This year he's defenseman Jay Leach. Jay, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Jay, let's talk about this a little bit. You're actually from just a little bit north of me in Syracuse, New York, and you decided to go to Hockey East for college, Providence College. Talk a little bit about your choice to go there.
I had a couple of choices out of school. For whatever reason, I was in a hurry to go to college. I think you definitely see it nowadays, and even when I was looking at schools, guys will wait a year or two and then going. And with Providence, I had the opportunity to play right away. I turned 18 my freshman year, and I loved watching Hockey East. I thought that was the league to be in at that time. So that was my opportunity. I loved the school. It was a smaller school, liberal arts school, in a pretty cool city, and we were kind of an up-and-coming program. The coach there had won the Hockey East a couple of years prior to when I went there, and so it was the fit for me.
And, when you get to talk to young players or, if you get to do any things with youth hockey, do you tell the kids here in America that you can do things in hockey and still go through the collegiate program? Because I think it's one of the most fascinating things where I think a lot of good players are now starting to stay in America and go to college here and play college hockey because they can still make it to the NHL, they can still be successful, and not have to go through the juniors up in Canada.
Yeah, I don't want to say to someone, it is definitely an option, and for me it worked out. I loved my experience at Providence, and I think most kids that leave school and wherever they go, they'll tell you the same. That, playing college hockey is a lot of fun. You play in some great buildings. You develop some great friendships. Over the 4 years there. Friendships that I still have today. I don't think you have that really anywhere else.
Yeah.
And as far as developing and becoming a player, you have at least 2 hours a day to work on your skills. To get to that next level. You could argue that they don't play as many games, but perhaps at that age, it's better to kind of mature and work on your skill set as opposed to playing in 60, 70, 80 games a year, where after a while I think it gets kind of redundant. So I'm definitely a backer of college hockey, but at the same time, I don't think you can argue with the success that the junior programs have, and you're seeing all these NHL All-Stars that all come from there. So they're certainly doing something right as well. No,
absolutely. I totally agree with you. I think you're a dying breed. You're a defenseman's defenseman. And don't take that the wrong way. I think that's something that there are still a place for that in hockey. Although there's a lot of guys now who think about moving the puck up forward immediately and trying to score, trying to get assists with that. Do you think that's one of the reasons why you've moved around? You're a rare commodity that a lot of people would definitely like to get their hands on.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. I'm a defensive defenseman. I still think you see defensive defensemen, in the league, in our league. But you are correct. The game has changed. It's offensive. It's more offensive. You don't see, as many of us flying around, hacking and whacking and just trying to get pucks out. The puck moving defenseman seems to be the new term for the new age of hockey.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's one thing I can do. I can defend, and I'm not going to get my team in trouble. So for teams around the league looking for a fill, looking for a guy that can play that type of role that's not going to hurt you. I guess that's why you see me moving around from place to place. And at the same time, I'm not going to be that difference maker where a team in the summer is going to go out and make a big push for me. It's just I'm that reliable guy that when someone's going to need someone down the line, and it may not be right away, but hopefully it's sooner than later.
Was there a city, not necessarily the organization, was there a city that you kind of really liked the most, that you really enjoyed spending some time in?
They're all different. I've been on, I think Blake told me the other day, I've been on 16 teams in 10 years.
Yes, and, that is true.
So I've got quite a collection to choose from. I was fortunate. I played up in Montreal for about a month last year, and for a hockey guy, for someone who kind of grew up watching all these different teams, and then obviously playing in all these different leagues, to be able to play up there for that team and a hockey mecca was something very special that I'll never forget. So I enjoyed my time there. San Jose is a beautiful place. It's a great city. They have great fans. I loved it there. I got to play my first 2 games in the NHL with Boston, who I grew up watching, so I liked it there. And I was in Providence for 3+ years. After I went to school there, I played for the Providence Bruins, and I have fond memories of living in Providence and staying there. I met my wife there, and so there's plenty of places I love playing, and I think that's one thing that's great about hockey is you get to see all these places and meet all these new faces and do all those types of things.
Jay, one of my favorite people in hockey just lost his job from the Islanders, and that was Scott Gordon. And you obviously played there, and you guys had a lot of success there. A lot of good players that were there, a lot of good young players, including yourself. Can you talk a little bit about Scott Gordon and maybe and this is my opinion. I'm going to throw this out there and get your reaction to it. I don't think NHL teams give these young coaches enough time to develop themselves at the NHL level. If they bring them up, if they bring them in, he was very good for the Providence Bruins. I don't think the Islanders gave him enough time.
Yeah, all I can say is what I had experience with Gordo, and like you said, he was one of my favorites to play for as well. We always had competitive teams with him, and I almost looked at him as a bit of a revolutionary. I think you see nowadays the game has changed. It's a lot of speed. It's a lot of moving that puck up, getting it in the zone. There's not as much east to west as opposed to north to south. Making that fast-paced play, and I remember Gordo really from the get-go preaching that. Our practices were all about speed and using the middle and all these new things that perhaps before the lockout were almost taboo. So yeah, I really enjoyed him. He did a great job with us. As far as his stint in the island, I don't know how it works. It's hard. The NHL is a whole other breed. I think the American League, you've got kids willing to do really whatever it takes. They're going to follow their coach. They're going to do the system. You got the NHL. You're dealing with a little bit more than just that. And so it may take a little longer, like you said, for a team to adapt, to a certain system, to a certain coach. And I hope to get a little bit more time there. I thought they had a start this year that looked pretty good, and then I think they got hit by the injury bug, and there you go. But for me, he was terrific. He actually gave me a chance. I was rolling around the coast for a few years, and he gave me the opportunity to play at the American League level in a year where it was a lockout year with a lot of skilled players. So I loved him for that, and obviously I loved him for the next few years because it's a pretty good team, so it was fun.
No, absolutely. Talk a little bit about this Worcester team. You played last year a little bit with San Jose, and now you're back here with Worcester this year. And obviously, if San Jose needs a reliable defenseman, they're going to call you up and everything. But talk a little bit about this Worcester team this year. Last year, very speedy. I talked to you a little bit before we went on, and you said they're still a very speedy team. How can you help this team this year? I think defensively, it's a great thing. Are you teaching a little bit as well? Do you find yourself teaching some of the young players as well, how to be professional, but also some of these defensemen to, also think defensively minded, not just think about, trying to score with the puck?
Yeah, no, I teach. I probably teach more than I thought I would. But the game has changed. It's a very young league, obviously in the American League and also in the NHL. So my role's changed. It's amazing how a few years go by and all of a sudden you're the old guy on the team. But no, I teach quite a bit. I don't teach them how to be pros. I think an example is really how they learn from that. But I'll definitely talk to them, about playing defensive hockey. I can't say I'm really going to teach them how to score goals. Maybe they can teach me that. But I can definitely help them out, making a safe play or playing the penalty kill or defensive zone, and helping them really kind of get that knowledge so that when they do make that jump to the NHL, they're ready for what's up there as best you can. And so yeah, I definitely do teach.
You've spent a lot of time in the Atlantic Division, from Providence to Lowell, to your time with Portland, which was another very good season. But then also, obviously here in Worcester now. Why is this division so close every year? I mean, there's only 11 points right now. You guys are in second place, right behind Manchester, but there's only 11 points between first and last place, with the Connecticut Whale and Providence kind of struggling early on in the season. But why is this division so close?
I can't tell you, other than it's just always been competitive, and we've always had these battles, for as long as I've played in this league. I think every team's got a coach that's, got their system down. They know the division, and they know the way it's played. It's always tight. It's always every game's always a battle, and I'm shocked that we haven't had a team out of this division win it. But at the same time, I can't understand because it's been such a battle. Every year we maybe beat each other up as we get to the Eastern Conference Finals. But for whatever reason, we've had competitive teams, from top to bottom, like you said. And you're not surprised if Providence is last this week, then all of a sudden within 2 weeks they're in a playoff spot. It's just the way it's at.
I'm pretty sure if I go through every single roster in the American Hockey League, I will not find three guys that were born and raised in upstate New York actually on the defenseman roster. Is there a little camaraderie between the three of you? Because you guys are from upstate New York. I mean, I'm up here in upstate New York as well, and it's a kind of different way of life. I mean, from New York City or even from a lot of the other American Hockey League cities and everything. The three of you together there, it's pretty neat. Have you been paired up? And who have you been paired up with this year?
I've been paired up with everyone. I literally have played with, I think, almost everyone on the team. I was with Petrecki, an upstate boy, for a bit. Also with Schaus, another upstate guy, for a bit, and then with Braun, who's now up in San Jose, doing really well up there. And so I've been with the guys. But as far as the upstate New York connection,
that's pretty neat.
Funny, Petrecki played for the CD Selects, I think a year or two before he went to BC, and I was actually on the original CD Selects back in 96 and 97. My father, along with Jim Southby, kind of started the whole thing, and so it was kind of fun for me to see another fellow select, I guess, 10 years down the line, but still fun to see someone like that. And then Schlauser, obviously out there in Western New York, but at the same time, we used to play all those teams out there all the time. So it's fun. It is. It's interesting. It's our team
absolutely, and you guys can talk about some of the same things, which is pretty cool. When you guys have a goaltender like Alex Stalock, who is a very good young goaltender, there. I ask this to people all the time, and I'm always fascinated with the answer. Do you guys feel, I don't know, more comfortable and a little bit more loose when you have a good goaltender like Alex behind you guys?
Yeah, I think that's why it is, I feel, the most important position. In the game, you can, I don't care what you say. If you have a goalie back there that's going to give you a chance to win every night like we do, and to be honest with you, our backup, who's been banged up a little bit, but I think he's played 2 or 3 games, she's been the same way, which is huge for us. But Al, comes every night, battles hard, very confident, pretty vocal. He's in it. He gets you in it right away. And, that's why you see how well he's done in the past, and obviously what he's doing this year. So it's a huge lift for us. He's obviously the backbone of our team, and, we look for good things from him.
Jay, I talk about this a lot, especially with people that kind of like came from an area where there was an American Hockey League city. You're obviously a native of Syracuse, New York. They do have the Syracuse Crunch there. They've kind of always had hockey in that area. I mean, you probably remember the days where there were the Utica Devils, the Adirondack Red Wings. Obviously,
sure.
Binghamton's always had teams and everything. Are you kind of fascinated? Because I'm fascinated with a player like you who has come up through through that city. And did you go to hockey games when you were young? How did you get into the whole thing? Because Brian Burke said it when they were talking about Dave Andrews, the president of the league, that wherever they put American Hockey League city, we usually get professional players from that area eventually, like 20 years later on. Talk a little bit about when you were younger and getting into hockey.
Yeah, I was born in Syracuse, but I actually moved to Albany, so a little farther east.
Right.
I grew up in Albany, but at the same time, the River Rats were there. Actually, before that, they had the Albany Choppers, which was in the International League.
Yep.
And they also had the CD Islanders. They played over at RPI.
Capital District.
I used to go to all of those games. My uncle Steven played in the NHL for 14 years, so I watched him play. But we were always around the the Islanders or the River Rats, or we'd go up to the Adirondack play, and it was fun. It's a great way to get into the business. I think that my first real taste of the pro game was probably seeing. I think I remember being 13, 14 years old, and River Rats played the Adirondack Red Wings, and you see these 17 or maybe 18, 19-year-old kids starting to play in this league, and you can kind of see yourself, maybe I could do that in a few years, and that was kind of the first taste of the whole thing. So it definitely helped. It showed you how guys got through the ranks and up to the NHL, and it kind of piqued my interest for sure in getting into the business.
Jay, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and I love your ability to basically answer any question, and any organization that has you, they're lucky to have you, and we appreciate you coming on.
Well, I appreciate it very much. It was great talking with you guys, and have a good show.
Thank you very much, and we'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.